pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll have a roll call. Like to do that when we'll start here and we'll take the first row and then back this way. Please state your name and the agency you represent so we can record it there. Bill Barnes, Plainfield Fire.
Mike Dillon, Braidwood Fire.
Steve Rauder, WESCOM.
John Kelly, WESCOM attorney.
Cindy Tooley, WESCOM.
Sherry Lewis, WESCOM.
Darren Deskin, Lockport Police.
Paul Spiegel, Lockport Fire.
Mike Collins, Village of Plainfield.
Tony Graff, City of Wilmington.
Scott Dyke, City of Crestville.
Roger Barron, Troy Fire.
Rick Chapman, Shoal Police.
Ken Temple, Bollingbrook Police.
Tom Ross, Bollingbrook Police.
Bill DeLong, Wilmington Fire. Dave Clark, Manuka Fire.
Steve Riddle, Shannon Fire.
John Petraka, Shanahan Fire.
Doug McGovern, Shannon Fire.
How's that work for a quorum?
Well, we've got some chiefs sprinkled in there, and we've got some guests sprinkled in there.
Yes, we'll get to that.
Cindy, were you able to?
Yep.
We have 13 in the room.
Okay, we have some chiefs who would you please announce where you're from and
Chiefs.
Dave Scory with Lockport Fire.
Aaron Klima, Shorewood Police.
Ken Heber, Braidwood Fire.
Tim Zolmi, Wilmington.
Eric Summer, WESCOM.
we also have the media here with us today.
And could we just briefly reintroduce the two gentlemen from Bollingbrook?
Oh, okay. I guess I missed.
Ken Temple, I'm the Commander of Investigations and Telecommunications at Bollingbrook.
And Tom Ross, I'm the Deputy Chief of Police.
Thank you. I guess we're at the, we have a quorum enough for it to.
We have a quorum for business. We also have a 2/3 super quorum to act on the later issue.
Very good. So then we'll go to public input. If there's anything, an open forum here for a few minutes, if anybody has anything. Seeing no hands, we'll go to approval of the minutes. Entertain a motion for approval of the minutes.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. And communications received but not distributed?
None, sir.
None?
None.
Thank you. Old business.
We were successful in having a very nice open house on the 11th for the new building. We had about 130 people there. Several of you in the room were present. We had a very good time with that. And then on later the next week, we opened our doors for operations. It was a transition that, while it was relatively smooth, we still had some bumps in the road, but all in all, things were going well. So we are settled into the new building.
And if you haven't seen it, it's worth the trip. Item B, the discussion and probable action on the new member.
This is in follow-up to the April meeting, Mr. Chairman, and we've got Chief Klima, who's the chairman of our new member committee, and he will walk through the letter that we'll be sending back to Mayor Clark relative to their request for joining. And if it's okay with you, turn over to Chief Klima for additional comment.
I'll do.
Okay, and I'll stand over here so I don't have my back to anybody. Good evening, everybody. You guys remember when we met in April, we proposed the letter from Mayor Clark from Bollingbrook that they were interested in joining WESCOM. So there was a closed session discussion about some of the things that we would need to do for due diligence. And the letter that you have in your packets that you've seen is our response to Bollingbrook, reference all of the items in our due diligence. So we don't skip anything, we're just going to go down this kind of quickly. If you have any questions at any time, please stop me and we'll give you any clarification you need. So under governance, the incorporation with them, all of our, basically anybody that comes in is governed by our IGA. Our intergovernmental agreement is in accordance with the Intergovernmental Cooperation Act of Illinois. And the proposed document for Bollingbrook or any other agency to join is the joinder document. Our legal representation has prepared those in the past for all the other agencies that have come in. We then start to go down to governance issues. Last time we talked about the governing body. We have the executive board, which is you guys. Everybody knows that every municipality or fire protection district has one vote of equal value here at this body. It'll be the same for Bollingbrook. They work with two agencies, one police and one fire, but at this level, that's your governing body, so that everybody's equal. We have one governing vote for every taxing body, so that's not going to change anything. You scroll down a little bit to the Chiefs Operating Committee. We're proposing that because of their operations, they have one police representative and one fire representative at all those meetings. It's only prudent that they are present in both of those so that our operations are, everybody has an opportunity to discuss their considered needs for those operations. Under the committees, we, as you know, have a variety of committees. We have the issues where we have strategic planning, finance. We just had the building committee, which is actually, finishing up now that the building's open. We have, I said strategic planning. We have the special rules, right? That's the other committee.
Rules committee. We also have personnel committee. We have negotiations committee, and others ad hoc as needed.
So all of those committees are there. If we need a new committee, obviously like the new member committee that propped up, we can go ahead and we'll staff that as need be. Under fee schedule, last time we talked about how they will be incorporated. Under the budget, you'll see that our budget runs from May 1st to April 30th. I'm not sure what their fiscal, Tom, what's your fiscal year again?
May 1st.
Okay, so it's the same. We're in the process now this month, ramping up with the finance committee to start developing the budget for next fiscal year. So it's good timing for everybody, for them and for us. We've already worked through, Steve and his staff have proposed to the chiefs budgets with, budgets without, Bollingbrook coming in, so everybody is well aware of the impact of their coming or their not coming. And hopefully those have all been discussed with your chiefs from police or fire. You will see also that there are initial member fees, and under that, members are based on the not just the budget, but we have, I'm sorry, I didn't scroll down far enough. Their annual assessment, you'll see in the paragraph, is $1,132,035.69, or $94,000 and some change monthly. So in the joiner document that you'll see later, it references what their first bill would be, okay? In addition to their budgeting, they have member fees. They've calculated, Steve's already calculated the first year expenses you see in the last paragraph there. Since Bollingbrook Police and Fire are likely to come into WESCOM prior to May 1st, they've calculated any mid-year fees until the new fiscal year starts. I think that was incorporated into that figure, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay. Anybody have any questions about those dollar figures so far? Okay. The buy-in fees. All new members are subject to a one-time buy-in to ensure some level of equalizing the share of capital expenses. We have the construction costs, we have the formula. The buy-in fee would be $46,889.53 each for Bollingbrook Police and Fire, for a total of $93,779.06. And then we will be discussing both of the fees with Will County ETSB to follow a well-established support of monetary assistance for consolidation. Does anybody have any questions about those fees? Okay. I am not good at alarm processing, so I'm going to allow Steve to go over the alarms.
We're meeting on the 29th with the two vendors that are involved, us and Bollingbrook staff, to arrive at an agreement, but the framework is well in hand, and all the vendors, both vendors have agreed in principle. We just have to hammer out the exact agreement, but there's no, we don't anticipate any issues with that. That meeting will happen late in the month.
Okay. Any questions about alarms?
So will they continue to have their own alarm, or will it just be our alarm?
They will maintain their subscriber radios. They will maintain the head end that physically resides in the village of Bollingbrook. What we're negotiating on is the connectivity between the head end equipment of Bollingbrook and WESCOM, and the transfer of a monitoring computer from the Village of Bollingbrook to WESCOM as part of that agreement. But again, nothing has been, we don't see any showstoppers to that.
Will any new come to us, or will they continue to handle everything?
If a new alarm comes into the Village of Bollingbrook, they will handle that. We'll just add another $13 a month for processing fees, and we'll continue on.
Any further discussion on alarms? Okay, moving on. Building and construction share, they're going to be assessed for 1/20th of the total value of the debt for the construction. That's tied to the municipal taxing body. The police department doesn't raise money, the fire department doesn't raise money, therefore it's the municipality of Bollingbrook. That's how that is tied in with our IGA. So any questions about that? I know there was a discussion about it when we met last. Okay, operational issues, very straightforward. There's a whole list of stuff that we require from Bollingbrook prior to their inclusion. Everything from their operating logs, alarm cards, all that sort of stuff. We've already begun that process in the due diligence phase. Our WESCOM supervisors have been up there. We've held meetings with their people. It will be an ongoing process, as is everything with the member agencies already. That's what the police and fire committees are for. So as you know, people want new policies, new procedures, new equipment, new technology, all this stuff we've discussed at length in the police and operating committees, and we come to a consensus on how we're going to move forward. Personnel and labor issues, quite frankly, we make no bones about it. We need to capture some of their labor at Bollingbrook. If we don't capture enough, that will delay the start time at which we can incorporate Bollingbrook into operations. We'll have to hire and train and make sure we have qualified personnel on board before we do a cutover and have them come forward. Okay, and that's probably our one weakest link right now. We can't really move forward until we get through tonight. We make this letter available to Bollingbrook. They do some in-house procedures with their people, and then their labor can move forward with putting in applications and all the stuff that they need to do so we can start determining how many we can capture.
What are those numbers? Oh, I'm sorry. What are those numbers now over there and what you would need here?
They've got about 14 and 15 telecommunicators.
14 telecommunicators currently full-time employed.
Okay, we need to capture 8. And we've met with some of them. Steve held an orientation on the 19th, wasn't it?
Yes.
And we had 5. We had a very nice discussion with several of their employees. They asked a lot of questions. We clarified some things for them. And we were informed that there are others that are interested. So once they feel comfortable and all the processes that move forward after tonight, and then the subsequent processes in Bollingbrook with their municipal action, they'll have an opportunity to put in their transfer or application, and then we'll bring them in, assess where they're at, and then bring them in as an employee hopefully, and then train them with WESCOM procedures.
Now, when you say we're required to capture 8, that mean we need 8 to take on that workload?
Let me help clarify that. We will take all 14. We would just take all 14 in a heartbeat, but we also have applicants from the outside that are in that mix. We still need to exceed that, or meet or exceed that 14. We know that. In talking to Tom's crew and just getting a feel for them, we have some indication some folks just don't want to come. Some folks may get a different job offer within the village. We looked at a number of 8 to 9 to make it work smoothly. And as Chief Klima pointed out, if we don't capture 8 or 9 from his crew, it's just going to stretch it out till we get other people from the outside in. So that was just a part of the realistic mix of numbers.
So really to handle their increased call volume, we need 8 people to cover that. Is that what the 8 comes from, or is that?
The 8 was a realistic estimation of how many we can capture out of the Bollingbrook crowd. We're still going to need to hire that number anyway, just because of vacancies we have currently today. We're going to need to cover those slots anyway. And again, this is where reality meets the projection. 8 was the magic number we gave Bollingbrook to really expedite the hiring process.
Is there any management coming, or is it just that
Just the community.
We're not bringing in any supervisors. We're only interested in having telecommunicators. Some are seasoned, some are, quite frankly, going to be used as trainers, in-house here, because obviously our people are going to need to be briefed on a lot of Bollingbrook procedures. So there'll be those sorts of issues, but for a supervisory level position, no, not per se. Okay. Moving on, excuse me, is everybody clear on the labor issues? Okay. Technical issues, the radio and the paging, CAD terminal, telephones, equipment list, and all this stuff. We've done a comprehensive list of all of their infrastructure, all of their technical issues, radio towers, everything from extension cords on up to door locks and everything else. There's a list that's been estimated of what the cost is going to be. Bollingbrook's already started making those improvements to bring their stuff up to speed. Steve and his guys, Eric and Stan, have been out to look at everything. There's still more stuff to look at. We'll have to monitor all the improvements as they're made, but we're not taking anything over until it's up to Steve's specifications. Any questions on the technical issues? Because I know that came up last time. All right, very well. So, the grant on the very last thing before summary. We have a long-standing practice of pooling the annual ETSB grants. We threw it in the document that everybody here has been very cooperative in pooling those grants because, quite frankly, pooling all the money together instead of doing it individually, we've been able to accomplish a lot more for the WESCOM footprint as a whole with radio relays, microwaves, and all that sort of stuff. So we put in the grants and we know the expectation of it.
So did they see any hesitation on that?
No, we're on board with everything with their leadership. We've met several times with Deputy Chief Ross and Deputy Chief Garza and Chief McCarthy, and they've been very forthright and everything's on the up and up.
And to put that in perspective, we captured about $226,000 in cash grants last year from Will County ETSB because of Bollingbrook's size and number of phone lines in their system, and that we're looking at about a 54% increase in that. So it's a pretty significant payback to WESCOM for that.
And the mayor has no problem with that.
So far, so good. And once Aaron wraps up, we can give you a little bit more of a detailed summary. But
You want to do the timeline so that you're on the summary timeline?
Can we hold for a minute?
sure.
We had two people come in a little late after we started. Would you please state your name and the agency you represent?
Colleen Freeboy, Elwood Fire.
Bill Offerman, Village of Elwood.
Thank you. For the roll call. Okay.
Thank you. As far as the next steps, the document, the draft document that you have in front of you has been prepped for delivery. If there's an affirmative vote tonight, that'll be handed literally to Tom as he's walking out the door. The timeline for further approvals walk out such that the Bollingbrook Village Board now has to accept our offer. That will happen August 12th. Deputy Chief Ross and I have already got the 13th scheduled out for a whole bunch of things we have to do. So that's their timeline. And we need to wait to hear their answer and if there's any request for modification of this letter. But the letter in draft form has been passed around quite a bit, and between legal counsel from Village of Bollingbrook talking to our legal counsel, and from Tom's senior staff talking to the mayor's staff, we have not had any hiccups or showstoppers or any major concerns. So we don't think there's going to be any additional issues there. We already have started facilitating meetings to clarify policies and procedures, and that's going along quite well with our supervisors and the Bollingbrook supervisors. They would need to execute a joinder document that everybody else who's come on to WESCOM has had to sign that puts them clearly as a member. We will have to sit with village staff and our staff to implement an actual date timeline, and a lot of this keys in on the labor issues. Once this letter is delivered, I would only assume that the village is going to have to meet with their labor force to figure out what they're going to do to disconnect and come over. I have no insight or any magical input on that. That's going to be up to the village and their staff to make all that work, and so far it's been very positive. We'll have to get a cutover timeline going that's amicable to both sides. We've got to work with the vendors to resolve some issues with the alarm systems as well as the radio systems, but again, no showstoppers there quite yet. We don't anticipate any. And then we finally have to announce a startup date for the cutover. The party line here and the instructions that I've gotten from the chiefs is that we are telling people that sometime prior to the first of the year is the intended cutover. There's a key change in some software at Will County 911 such that November 4th is a key date. We would like to get everything changed over prior to that date, just for we don't have to do things twice to get the software running at two centers and then redo it again to come over to WESCOM. So November 4th is a key date we're trying to shoot for. But after tonight's vote, if it's affirmative, the ball's clearly in Bollingbrook's court to make the next move.
Any questions on the timeline? Okay. That document is also attached with a joiner document that will accompany the letter to Bollingbrook for them. It's a document that you've seen before for other municipalities or fire protection districts coming on board. But if you have any questions, we have our legal representation here to answer those.
You need two motions, one for each document?
I don't think we need. No, it's not necessary. The joiner document is more of a. It's just part of the process. It's, you know, they'll have to sign that anyway. It's up to them to sign it. The vote would be on sending the proposal along to Bollingbrook and to make an affirmative motion to bring them in. We scripted the motion 7B. If once that hits the floor, that's the format we would prefer it in. But unless there's any modifications or anything else.
So moved as presented.
Second.
Motion 7B.
Yes.
Motion moved and seconded on the motion 7B to accept the application of Village of Bollingbrook as a member of WESCOM. We'll have a voice vote on this, please.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if you could ask for any further discussion, please.
Yeah, is there any further discussion on this?
And because of the nature of our bylaws, we need a two-thirds affirmative vote of the membership of WESCOM. That means all 19 agencies weigh in on it, and we need two-thirds affirmative vote for it to proceed. So if we could call the roll for the 13 that are here, and we might have a 14th or 15th if you want to actually watch them. So,
okay.
Cindy?
Plainfield Fire Barnes.
Here.
Braidwood Fire Dillon.
Yes.
Shanahan Police Cook.
Yes.
Northwest Homer Fire Frond.
Yes.
Troy Fire Berriman.
Yes.
Manuka Fire Clark.
Yes.
Shore Police Chapman.
Yes.
Lockport Police Deskin.
Yes.
Shanahan Fire Montgomery.
Aye.
Wilmington Fire Long.
Yes.
Cresthill Police Dyke.
Yes.
Plainfield Police Collins.
Yeah.
Wilmington Police Graff.
Yes.
Lockport Fire Siegel.
Yes.
Elwood Police Offerman.
Yes.
Elwood Fire Preboy.
Yes.
Could you give me the total, please?
Cindy? I'm sorry, I voted
16.
here and I want them at yes.
Oh, okay.
16.
Okay, so 16 certainly gets us the two-thirds and more, so. Thank you.
Okay.
Motion passed, I think. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
We'll go to new business then. Text amendment to the bylaws?
Yes. Because Bollingbrook brought to us a few unique wrinkles to the way we've been doing business, and keep in mind, since 1992, WESCOM's always been composed of police departments and fire protection districts. Bollingbrook is the first agency that has approached us with a municipal fire department, and it threw a few wrinkles in definitions in our bylaws and how we had to handle different things. So the two attorneys, meaning our attorney John Kelly and Mr. Bowen from the village, Both of them feel strongly that our current bylaws certainly can bring Bollingbrook in a manner in which we have been used to doing. However, we felt that we should set the stage that if any other municipal fire department came in or a village approached us that happens to have both a police department and a fire department, we wanted to slightly modify and clarify the bylaws so that there's no question as to how we handle municipal fire departments coming in as opposed to fire protection districts. So we had to modify Article 3 and 4. Article 3 is fairly self-explanatory. It basically clarifies that a municipal entity that has both the fire and police department or having a public safety department operating as a police department and fire department shall be considered as one member having two agencies, because in the past the bylaws were such that agency and member were kind of interchangeable, and it didn't quite work with the municipal entity coming in. So we added a new section C and then relabeled D, coming down to E. Municipal entities having both police and fire departments shall have one municipal representative serving the board of directors, which is this body, and two representatives, one fire, one police, on the operating committee. So it's just a clarification. We feel we're okay, but we wanted to further clarify it in case we have an additional municipality knocking on our door. Article 4 is simply a word change so that under Article 4B, each member shall be entitled to one seat, so that it's very clear as far as how many are represented here and how many are represented in the Chiefs Operating Committee. So I'll turn it over to our attorney if for any additional comments or questions. And again, it was estimated that we're certainly okay with Bollingbrook coming in, but we wanted to clarify possibly for the next municipality coming to us.
Steve's explanation is right on, and again, as Steve indicated in my discussions with the Plainfield village attorney, Bollingbrook village attorney, he had no questions regarding the current bylaws and their applicability to the village of Bollingbrook. But as Steve said, as we went through this process, we thought it might be the right time to clarify the bylaws in the event that we have another similar type of agency or unit of government come to WESCOM.
So we would be looking for motion 8A, Mr. Chairman, unless there's any further questions.
I make a motion to accept motion 8A as presented.
Second?
Second.
Any further further discussion?
No. No further discussion. We need a voice vote on this?
Roll call.
Yes, roll call, please. Roll call, please.
Okay.
Cindy?
Shanahan Police Cook,
Yes.
Plainfield Fire Barnes,
Yes.
Braidwood Fire Dillon,
Yes.
Northwest Homer Fire Fraun,
Yes.
Troy Fire Barrowman,
Yes.
Manuka Fire Clark,
Yes.
Shorewood Police Chapman,
Yes.
Lockport Police Deskin,
Yes.
Shanahan Fire Montgomery,
Yes.
Wilmington Fire Long,
Yes.
Crest Hill Police Dyke,
Yes.
Plainfield Police Collins,
Yes.
Wilmington Police Graff,
Yes.
Lockport Fire Siegel,
Yes.
Elwood Police Offerman,
Yes.
Elwood Fire Preboy.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carried.
Mr. Chairman, I have no need for closed session unless there's...
Is there a need for closed session from anyone here? Hearing none, we'll go to item 10, go to the order. You want to handle that, Steve?
Yes, because we have occasionally the need for a quorum and occasionally the need for super quorum, such as tonight where we need 2/3 to act on certain things, we would really like to make sure there's good attendance at these meetings, and Cindy really needs a good primary and secondary board member roster. So if you have any changes, if you have new emails, if you have a new phone number, whatever else, we really like to bug you as far as getting out to our quarterly meetings as needed. But please check in with Cindy before you leave for any changes in names or contacts for the primary and secondary contact for the member roster for the board. Just as a reminder, this has been standing for quite a while. August 21st, we will have a WESCOM 101 again, and it'll be at the new building. The last time we ran it, we had one attendee, So please RSVP if you want to bring your board members, staff members, anybody from your agency if you'd like to attend. We go through our governance, we go through a little bit of how we're structured, how we operate, how we do the budget, how we do the fees, things like that. And we'll be very proud to give a building tour on that night also. So if you do want to come to a WESCOM 101 session to explain how we operate and get a tour, please RSVP. It'll be 6 o'clock on August 21st.
Steve, if you back up just for a second on the list of
Yes.
Cindy, when you get what you consider to be the new good list, why don't you email that to everybody so we can confirm that what you have is accurate. Tonight, you want any changes,
Sure.
but if you just send us all a list of everything, not just ours obviously, but the whole list,
Yep.
then we can go through, and if there's something wrong, then we can catch it before we assume the wrong thing.
We will do that. Just as a comment, Mr. Chairman, and it's something that we need to do for, if you look at motion 8A, any text amendment or bylaw change needs to sit for 60 days for comment, and if there's a dispute, if there's an issue, if there's a problem, and if it's okay with everyone to simply stick to the October 23 date as posted, and that will appear on the agenda for final vote on that night, unless there's a need for a meeting in between, which I don't anticipate, but if it's okay, but consensus here, we'll just stick with the October 23 date, and we'll be voting on that text amendment to make it final.
Okay. Everybody got that? Anything else?
Yes, sir.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.